Hi, my name is Clint Francis. I am a business coach. My primary focus in my practice is sales strategies as well as mindset strategies. Today I want to talk about what is sales. I don't think a lot of people think about this, but what really is sales? A lot of people have opinions and they're usually negative. When a lot of people think of sales, they think of a used car salesman coming out in a leisure suit from the 1970s and wanting to make his commission, wanting to get your money, wanted to sell you a piece of junk car for a lot of money. Most people have had bad experiences with salespeople because by nature, humans are always trying to get something. It's just how it is. It's how we're programmed from nature and also from being a child and completely dependent on your parents. You need to get your needs met. And there's really not a time in life where we're able to eliminate that energy of gettingness. So if you look at sales from the mindset of I'm here to help, sales is a helping profession, then your energy will be good. People will feel that and they'll be more likely to buy. But remember, they're only going to buy for their reasons. They're never going to buy for yours. They're not going to buy it to help you buy your kids brand new shoes, to make your commission, to make your quota, to put money in your pocket and make you happy. They're only going to buy for their reasons. So the weird thing about sales, in a sense, it's kind of a selfless occupation if you want to be very successful. Now, there's people that can be successful by having a getting energy and pushing their products and just beating people over the head till they buy. And that's more the old school way of doing it, but I was never comfortable with that. In my first sales job, I had a lot of anxiety because I would wonder, my job is to sell somebody, I sold men's clothing, to sell them pants, shirts, ties. So I felt this conflict in my values. I'm trying to sell them something. And I didn't know how to put that in my head. And at the time I was in high school and I really hadn't learned much. And it was my first sales job. Now I sold stuff when I was a kid for baseball and soccer. But usually people would buy from you because you're just a kid and they go, oh, how cute, a kid. He's trying to sell popcorn or chocolate bars. So they'll buy from you because you're cute or whatever. But as you start to become an adult and you get older, people are going to buy from you because they have a reason. So back to what I'm saying. Sales is a helping profession. And if you have that in your mind and you burn that into your mind and you rehearse that in your mind, that you're here to help people, you're going to have great energy. And they're going to want to buy from you. Once again, if they have a reason to buy what you have. So, what do you do as a salesperson? What you're going to do is, when you're in your imagination, you're going to see yourself rehearsing in your mind of just being helpful to people. And then they're going to be buying from you, and it's just going to create like if you imagine doing it that way from a helpful attitude, even before you go out on the sales floor, or you're going to talk to a prospect on the phone that you maybe got through social media. It doesn't really matter. I mean, there's a difference between selling on the sales floor professionally in a high-end environment as opposed to talking to a prospect on the phone who found you on YouTube. It's just different, but it's essentially the same. So the big thing that you want to do when you're in this positive state of selling from good energy is to have bridled enthusiasm. Now, what do I mean? We all know what too much enthusiasm looks like. You kind of come off goofy, needy, you can't even talk, you're just all over the place, and you're too excited. We've all experienced that or done that at times, depending on what the scenario is. So you want to have a bridled enthusiasm. A lot of people, when I go out to buy things and they're selling me stuff, they tend to be very in their heads, and they're just telling me a lot about their product and what it's going to do, meaning, a lot of facts and figures, and they're in their heads. And occasionally you'll meet people that are more coming from the heart or more from their chest area, where they're just relaxed and they're centered and they have an excitement that you can feel about the product. Usually if you're selling something you really value or enjoy, you will automatically transfer this product, this value and the enthusiasm and the emotion to the client. If you're selling something you don't like, I'd recommend getting out of that as soon as you can. Now, you got to feed yourself and your family, and I get that. So you should be working on selling something that you want to sell, that you believe in, that you're interested in, because this is a lot easier to do. You don't want to overdo the enthusiasm, but once again, bridled. Because people buy on emotion, and then they rationalize it later. So most people think about how the product's going to make them feel, or maybe if people think they're going to be cool. And it's not a wrong thing to acknowledge that, because you're really helping them get what they want. And the emotion is going to be the key, not facts and figures. So when I used to sell jewelry, I worked with somebody who was very analytical, and they would talk to people in terms of the cut of the diamond, how many carats it was, how many inclusions it had, if it was white gold or yellow gold that it could come with, or rose gold. And they would get really into the particulars, but they wouldn't what they would call romance the client into feeling what it would be like. And then part of selling jewelry is to get it on the client. You want to put the ring on, you want to put the necklace on, the bracelet, and you want them to feel what it's like to wear the jewelry. So feeling's the big part of this. And then the enthusiasm that you bring, because they're like, this guy or woman is excited about selling, so it must be good. They must love it. They're excited about it. And you can't really fake this. So remember, being very analytical and being in your head can be kind of stifling to get into the emotional aspect. Now, if you're selling a product that is based on analytics, like a piece of engineering equipment, and you're selling to engineers, that's a different story. And when you're selling to engineer types, when they come in to buy a piece of jewelry or a piece of art or something that's more of a want than a need, or something that, there's a guarantee on it and they don't have to worry about whether it's, overly built. There's a way to deal with that, and we'll talk about that another time. But most of the personalities you're going to be dealing with are going to be feeling your energy and buying into your emotional enthusiasm. Now, in our culture, we have a tendency to not like emotion, in my opinion, or it's in certain places like movies and things like that, but shouldn't be on the sales floor because it's not professional. I totally disagree. When I first started selling and I didn't know what I was doing, I was really in my head and I didn't do very well. But once I learned how to use bridled enthusiasm, which I learned from a sales trainer that worked for the first real sales job that I had, where I actually got into it and committed myself to it, I learned about bridled enthusiasm. And once I applied that, I moved to the front of the pack. I started to sell really well. So bridled enthusiasm, and you got to have your product knowledge, yes, but I would use that sparsely, especially if you're selling items that are more of a want than a need. But even if you're selling beds, which I've done too, that people can get very analytical about the specs of the bed and the adjustable base and all these type of things. Once again, it's how you're going to sleep better. How are you going to feel when you have 8 solid hours of sleep and you could adjust the bed you want? If I'm a control freak, are you a control freak like me? Don't you want to have that bed just right? So you're talking about how they're going to feel when they sleep, the control they're going to have over their sleeping experience. So you're once again appealing to feel more than fact. And I sold a lot more jewelry talking about how people were going to feel, where they were going to wear it. Was it every day at the office? Was it on special occasions or for gala events? And once you start to get people picturing themselves using the product, wearing the product, how they're going to feel using, wearing, owning the product, and using that bridled enthusiasm to transmit the good energy of owning this product, you're going to do very well. But you also have to ask for the sale. At the end, ultimately, you have to say, hey, you said you really like this, it fit really well, it would work well for an everyday piece of jewelry. You want to go ahead and get it? And then you're going to get into possible objections or asking for a reduction in price and all that. And we'll get into that in other videos in more detail. But just remember that, I remember when I first started out, and it's just coming to my mind, that when I was selling, watching other people sell, and they sold like this, I didn't see what they were doing. But even people that didn't have a lot of sales techniques or scripts about what to say when the customer says this, they seemed to do pretty well. They didn't do great, but they did pretty well, and they were able to keep their jobs. They had a level of ability to do that because they were more feel than they were fact. And they knew about the facts of the product, but they didn't overdo it. So to sum it all up, bridled enthusiasm, having a good energy about you, and then having the mentality that you're actually in a helping profession called sales. And most people aren't really good at it. They don't like it. So if you're really good at it, people are going to appreciate it because you're helping them get what they want without being part of the objection of why they don't want to buy it. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe this video if you got value out of it. If you have any questions that maybe I can make future videos that you have about sales, put them in the comments below and I might be able to answer your question. All right, take care. Have a great day.